Hi from Oscar and me. Hello, hello. Crazy times. I missed the protest. I hate that, but it's okay. We're all um just you gotta take care of yourself first, and then protest where you can when you can. Support where you can where you can when you can. I can't do it tonight. Tomorrow I'm doing it 8 to 10. Um, Standing on business. Yo, yo, yo. Just for the record, things ain't all right. Okay? Like, these things are not good. Things are not looking good for the United States. Things are looking worse for the United States. Okay? Nothing he is doing is helping us in any shape or form. We would all be better if Kamala was our president. Hold on, okay? All right, and people are noticing. People
So
are
do y'all
saying
remember
shit.
back when Donald Trump said he would be dictator for one day? And even Sean Hannity tried to kind of dial that one back and say, you really don't mean that, do you? And he said, yeah, I'll just be it for one day. Just dictator for one day, because I'm going to solve everything in one day. And I'll just need to be the dictator for one day so I can solve all your problems, and then I'll hand your democracy back over to you. That's basically what he was saying. And I said back then, I said, folks, that's never happened. No one has ever been dictator for a day. No one's been one for just one day. And at no point in American history should we ever want one for 5 minutes, for 1 minute, for 30 seconds. We should never want a dictator, because we should have an American democracy. But I've said all along, this guy is going to govern like a dictator, and that's what he's doing right now. And then I see this article from the New York Times, and I immediately flashed back to when Hannity's like, well, you really don't mean that, do you? Really clarify what you're saying here. He was saying it back then, and he means it, folks. And I'm going to be reading this article here, and it truly is one of the most disturbing things. And I know that Donald Trump could have his own Mount Rushmore of disturbing things he said, but this is just him going ahead and saying, yeah, I meant what I said when I'd be a dictator on day one. That's essentially what he's saying in this story here. So I'm going to bring this one up. Yeah, folks, Trump lays out a vision of power restrained only by my own morality. On topic after topic, Donald Trump made clear that he would be the arbiter of any limits to his authorities, not international law or treaties.
That right there, a comment like that from the President of the United States should be disqualifying right away. That should be like automatic, hey, impeachment. We can't have a president thinking that the laws don't apply to him. He can do whatever he likes. And the only thing that's stopping him is his own sense of right and wrong. No. We have a constitution. We have a Congress. We have a Supreme Court. We have international laws and treaties that we're part of that we need to be holding our end of the bargain for. But yeah, I mean, he's saying it out loud. We all said it for the last 12 months. Like, this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. No, he's not. No, he's not. You stop calling him names. Stop calling him names. Stop it. And here we are. He's saying, yeah, nobody can fucking stop me. What the fuck, bro? Like, goddamn.
So, Donald Trump declared on Wednesday evening that his power as commander-in-chief is constrained by his own morality. Brushing aside international law and other checks on his ability to use military might to strike, invade, or coerce nations around the world. Asked in a wide-ranging interview with the New York Times if there are any limits on his global powers, Mr. Trump said, yeah, there is one thing. My own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. Folks, before I keep reading, I'm just going to stop and let that sink in just for a minute. His own morality. This is the guy who right now is wagging the dog so hard to keep the Epstein files from coming out. This is the guy right now that is protecting pedophiles. This is the guy right now who has all sorts of stories and accusations out there floating around about him, and instead of getting to the bottom of it and proving his innocence, he's not. So this guy has no morality. He has no morals or no values. So if he's saying his own morality is the only thing that can stop him, he has none. But then he says, my own mind, it's the only thing that can stop me. How many times did I say, and I'm not trying to be like, I told you so. We all said it. We all said when he said he wanted to be the dictator on day one, and when they gave him...
I didn't know. The only thing I didn't think he was going to start World War III in our hemisphere. I didn't think that was going to happen. The only thing I thought he promises would have been kept is him not starting any more world wars. But then they increased the military budget to $1 trillion, and I was like, you don't really increase the military budget to $1 trillion unless you're planning on using it. So then I was like, all right, this is a play to, back Russia and Israel. And then it's turning into this, and now they want to spend $1.5 trillion on the budget. They said, and not even like a new budget 2035. They're like, you know what? We know you approved $1 trillion, and that's already like a 26% increase. We know you did that. Yeah, that happened. It's not enough. We're going to need 2027 budget. 2027 military budget. Bro, this is a TikTok. So I'm live on Twitch right now, and I just, putting 2 and 2 together, because that shit still equals 4. Y'all want to say I'm kind of being bombastic or a doomsdayer, whatever, calling what Trump is doing World War III. He has just asked, not that, although they raised the military budget to $1 trillion for this year, they said no, it's not enough. We're gonna need 2027 military budget $1.5 trillion. You know what you need $1.5 trillion for a military budget? For a fucking world war. That's why you need $1.5 trillion. Fuck, wake up.
Him immunity, that all that would go to his head. It's absolutely went to his head. That's absolutely one of the most batshit insane things that anyone has ever uttered. And the fact that people can just sit back and be like, well, yeah, man, I don't think you can stop him. It's his own mind. That's like something out of a damn horror movie. I'm just going to say it. So I don't need international law, he added. I'm not looking to hurt people. It's funny to me because he's the very one that said we're just going to kill all the right people, if I remember him saying that. When pressed further about whether his administration needed to abide by international law, Mr. Trump said, I do. But he made clear he would be the arbiter when such constraints applied to the United States. It depends on what your definition of international law is, he said. He said that out loud. It depends on what your definition of international law is. No, international law is international law, and you abide by it. That's what we've always done. That's who we are as a country. You don't get to come in and say, oh, I'm just going to, it's up to me to define it. That's what he's really saying. Do you think there's ever going to be a moment where an international law is going to make Donald Trump go, wait a minute, hold on. By international law, I can't go there. No, because he said his mind is the limit, and whatever he says goes. So Mr. Trump's assessment of his own freedom to use any instrument of military, economic, or political power to cement American supremacy was the most blunt acknowledgement yet of his worldview. At its core is the concept that national strength, rather than laws, treaties, and conventions, should be the deciding factor as powers collide. But folks, the one thing about it, right there it says at the core, the concept that national strength, it's not about national strength to him. Because if there was a Democratic president in there right now saying the exact same things, Donald Trump would be losing his ever-loving mind and saying, we can't do that. You can go back to so many clips where he tried to accuse Obama of ruling the wrong way, he tried to accuse Biden the entire time he was in there. So it's not the concept of national strength, it's the concept of his own strength is what it truly is. He did acknowledge some constraints at home, even as he has pursued a maximalist strategy of punishing institutions he dislikes, exacting retribution against political opponents, and deploying the National Guard to cities over the objections of state and local officials. He made clear that he uses his reputation for unpredictability and willingness to resort quickly to military action, often in service of coercing other nations. During his interview with The Times, he took a lengthy call from President Gustavo Petro of Colombia, who was clearly concerned after repeated threats that Mr. Trump was thinking of attacking the country similar to the one on Venezuela. We're all in danger. Well, we are in danger, Mr. Petro said in an interview with The Times just before the call, because the threat is real. It was made by Trump. The call between the two leaders, the contents of which were off record, was an example of the coercive diplomacy in action. And it came just hours after Mr. Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had extracted the United States from dozens of international organizations intended to foster multinational cooperation. In his conversation with The Times, Mr. Trump sounded more emboldened than ever. He cited the success of his strike on Iran's nuclear program. He keeps a model of the B-2 bombers used in the mission on his desk, the speed with which he decapitated the Venezuelan government last weekend, and his designs on Greenland, which is controlled by Denmark, a NATO ally. When asked what his higher priority, obtaining Greenland or preserving NATO, Mr. Trump declined to answer the question directly, but acknowledged it may be a choice. He made clear that the transatlantic alliance was essentially useless without the United States at its core. Even as he characterized the norms of post-World War II, the order of unnecessary burdens on a superpower, Mr. Trump's dismissive idea that the leader of China or President Vladimir Putin of Russia could use similar logic to the United States. Topic after topic, he made clear that in his mind, U.S. power is the determining factor, and that previous presidents have been too cautious to make use of it for political supremacy or national profit. The president's insistence that Greenland must become part of the United States was a prime example of his worldview. It was not enough to exercise the U.S. right under the 1951 treaty to reopen long-term military bases on huge landmass, which is a strategically important crossroads for U.S., European, Chinese, and Russian naval operations. Ownership is very important, Mr. Trump said, as he discussed with a real estate mogul's eye the landmass of Greenland. 3 times the size of Texas, but with a population of less than 60,000, he seems to dismiss the value of having Greenland under control of a close NATO ally. And when asked when he needed to possess the territory, or why he needed to possess the territory, he said, "Because that's what I feel like is psychologically needed for success. I think ownership gives you a thing that you can't do. Whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty, ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get from just signing a document." Folks, this truly is fucking insanity. And the fact that this dude has not been impeached and stuck in a prison cell is absolutely beyond me. The fact that people will sit back and try to find a way
to twist this, defend this, be pro-activist for these shits. It's like, yo, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. These are real people's lives that are being ended. Like, come on now. Like, what's it gotta take for people to get up and get involved? Like, how close to home does it have to hit for y'all to decide to get up and protest or something? Like, jeez, this is some dire shit, bro.
To act like we're living in normal times and act like that, You can just go back and do business as usual. It's way beyond that at this point. And he's trying to go about this worldview. I really don't have to keep reading the article because I think the point is pretty much made really clear here. His worldview, folks, of national strength, you heard what he said. It's about ownership. It's about owning something. His worldview is basically Vladimir Putin's worldview.
Weird.
It's the same thing. That's why that we saw him side with Putin so many times and go against Ukraine. But they're going to paint this that we'll see the Democrats, that's all they got to do. That's the only word they have to use. Democrats and rhino Republicans, they didn't have the guts to do what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that will make MAGA flex. That will make MAGA think that all of this is okay. And folks, it's straight up not. None of this is normal. None of this is okay. And the fact that the mainstream media has sat back and brainwashed this guy, the fact that the Republican Party has rode him this far, I really thought in the beginning they would just use him until they could get what they wanted, and then they would eventually denounce him. I honestly thought they would denounce him on January 6th, but they stayed at the party and they continued drinking the Kool-Aid. And now we're stuck with this madman. People says, Brando, you're being hyperbolic using words like madman. The guy said out loud, my own mind is the restraint. That's the limit. As far as my own mind goes, if I think it's a good idea to go over here and possess this and own it, I'm going to do it because we're the superpower and no other president had the balls to do it. This should absolutely terrify people. And again, I hate using those kind of words. I've seen people over the years get really hyperbolic and really bent out of shape over things, like Trump, for example. He's the most hyperbolic person I've ever seen, who's just constantly running down this country and talking about, all the radical left lunatics and all the, people that are coming from asylums and all these crazy things. Mm-hmm. So he's the most hyperbolic of them all. He's the one that's created the hysteria. Right. But he has got people
that's what that's what I said in my video too. Is like I know like a lot of people get hyperbolic, bombastic. I know, like, I was like, oh, you were going to war, we're going with war. Like, yo, he had said, we are going to strike the cartels in Mexico. We are going to take Greenland whether they want to or not. Denmark, Greenland's whatever fucking owner or whatever monarchy, has said, we have issued an order. We're going to watch that right now. Denmark has issued an order. If any military operations or personnel are conducted in Greenland, on Greenland's territory, they are to shoot first, ask questions later. Okay? They're like, nah, you have a U.S. flag on your fucking military fatigues? You're dead, and then we're going to wonder, why'd you die? We're going to ask the U.S., hey, why did this guy die on our land? Oh, that's weird. Well, he's dead now because you ordered him to go to our land. That's weird, isn't it? That sucks.
Up to the point that they will go to bat for him at all costs. And we have to stand up against this, folks. There has to be something that can turn this around. And to tell you the truth, do I know what it is? No, because he has the Supreme Court in his back pocket. And I don't know how we get around that one. I know someone could come on here and read the Constitution to me, but they wouldn't necessarily need to because I already have it laying on my desk. And I've read it more since Donald Trump came along than I ever have. I've studied it harder than I ever have. And by the Constitution, he should have never been on the ballot to start with. But the Supreme Court went over our heads, and now here we are. So I really don't know how we're going to get this dog shit out of our shoe, but I just know that we're going to be in for the long haul because we have a guy who says his own morality is the limit and he has no morals. So we're fucked.